Okay, happy Monday, everyone. Good morning. It is a lower body strength day. We're going to do our legs today, working all of the things in our legs, focused mostly on the back of our hips and the front of our quads. We are going to get you guys started with a nice warm-up, no equipment involved, and then we will work into some exercises that will use this chair right here. I have this pad on the top as we will be doing some of those hip thrusts that we know and love. We also are going to be stepping up onto it. Now, if you do not have something that is safe, first off, to step onto, then you are going to do my floor option that does not require something like this. But if you have it, then we will be using it towards the beginning here. Starting off with a warm-up. Besides all that, dumbbells, loop ends, a mat, your body. Let's start this party. Come down on the floor here with me, and we're going to get into our 90-90 position. So 90 degrees at both of our knees. We're starting in this one today. So we want to lock both of our feet on the floor and flip our legs over 10 times back and forth. Now, because we're going right into this one, you might feel a little bit more tight than normal. So you might have to lean back, which is completely fine. We'll flip the legs over right and left and go through 10. 5 per side. You got it. So yes, the goal is to sit as upright as possible. So if you can do this without arms, then that's great. But if you're not feeling it yet, that's completely fine. You can just have your hands behind you. So we'll do 10, and then you guys can lay down on your back for this next one. We're going to relax our legs down on the floor, relax our arms down on the floor. We'll lift up one knee, bend it to 90 degrees, grab it with the opposite hand, and then pull it all the way over with an exhale. And try to touch it down to the floor, and then we'll bring it back up and put it down and do that on the other side. So we exhale and cross and try to bring it all the way down to the floor. I don't have quite room on this side, that's okay. And we'll go through 10 of these total, 5 per side. So I'm gonna just scooch over a little bit so that I have room on both sides. So if you can't touch the floor, again, we'll work into it. Trying to exhale into it, seeing if you can eventually make contact with the floor, eventually. And we'll go through 5 per side, 10 total. This one feels quite nice to do first thing in the morning, so don't force anything. It should not be painful. Shouldn't be forcing anything. Okay. So once you guys have done that, you can stand yourself up to the top and front of our mat. We're going to stand hip width apart up here, left, and step back into a lunge. So I'm going to step 1 foot back, bring both my hands on the floor, and then open up towards that leg. So we've been here before. Welcome back. This one does require some mobility right off the bat to be able to get down into this position. So if you can't get quite all the way down there, that's okay. Just work it as you can, trying to open up all the way. Something that helps on this one, if you don't have the mobility to get down, is to bring this knee down onto the floor. It also helps with balance, which is definitely part of this one. But balance and doing this mobility stuff, you can't really hold your balance, not the best to work through. So if you need to put your knee down, that's okay. We'll go through 10 of these total, and exhaling as we open. Trying to touch the floor twice between those, and you'll feel as you go through them that you should be getting a little bit looser, a little bit more comfortable down in that position there. And when you open, of course. So we'll go through 10 reps total, 5 per side. Perfect. Thank you. Yes, I don't know what's going on. The Zoom meeting is just all over the place. It doesn't let me have waiting rooms. Makes everyone be unmuted. Not sure. That's okay though. All right, so once you guys are done that one, we are headed back down to the floor into our 90-90 position. Now, in theory, because we just did that other stuff, this should feel a lot more comfortable on this second set here. So we're going to go through the same back and forth, flipping our legs 10 times total. And then we are doing one more down here, but we'll start with this one first. So again, if you can bring your hands in front of you, you can get both of your hips on the floor. Those are 2 things that we want to work towards. If you need to start with just one of them, whether it's the hips on the floor, the hands up, and then eventually, in time, in effort, in practice, we will be able to do both those things. So once you're done 10, we're going to pause on one side, and try to make contact with those hips if you can. And then this knee is going to lift up 10 times. So this little lift that we're doing here is tapping into the small muscles in the sides of our hips. So you're probably going to start to feel some work happening. It might be a little bit uncomfortable in your hip. It should not be like sharp and pinchy pain if that's happening. You can try maybe leaning back a little bit and you'll feel more of that muscle working. So we'll do 10. And then once we're done 10, we're going to try to lift up this foot without lifting up this knee. So most of us are going to have a really hard time doing that. You'll have a much easier time if we lean over this side and then see if we can lift up there. So again, what we're doing here is little activation exercises on the small muscles on the sides of our hips. So that's why this one feels really challenging, like there's not much movement there, and there shouldn't be too much. And eventually, we'll work our way to doing this in this upright position, which as you guys can see, is totally easier said than done. So we got to do both sides. Coming over to this side now and lifting up through the 10. And then once you guys are done the 10 there, you need to lean over a bit. We can go through the 10 of this one. And again, we're just prepping our hips and the muscles in our glutes, sides of the hips for the workout that we're about to do. We're waking them up. Good morning, glutes. So we'll do 10 and 10, and then we'll stand up. So the next one, we got 2 more, well, technically 3. It's going to be just loosening up what we did. So we're going to swing our legs forward and backward. You can find yourself a wall to hold on to, so you don't have to worry about balance or holding yourself still or anything like that. You can use the wall, and we'll go back and forth. There and back is 1, and we'll do that 10 times total on this leg this way. And then we'll turn and we'll cross. There and back is 1, and we'll do 10 this way. And so we just did all that stuff that was kind of burning, working in our hips. This one's going to help us loosen it up and, again, release that fluid that is in all of our joints, but especially in our hips. And it helps us keep our joints safe if we have that fluid running through there before we start this strength stuff. So we'll do both sides. Of course, we have to do 10 that way. And then, again, you'll switcheroo. I feel like I'm talking behind myself here. And then this way, too. Don't kick anything. 10 and 10. And then we have one last little core activation exercise, which is back down on the floor. I know lots of up and down in this first part here, but you guys know that's always part of the workout. So we're going to get back down on the floor for this final one, which is going to be our dead bug. So we're going to do a version of the dead bug that we have done before. Arms and legs up, creating pressure between the palm of your hand and the top of your opposite leg. We're going to squish those two together, squish our lower back into the floor. So everything here and here is as tight as we can make it. And then we'll lower the opposite two down, going through 10 total on this side, 10 on the other side, and we're doing 2 sets total. So you guys can start with me right here. You'll notice I have my leg bent, and that is so I can stay stronger here and stronger here. Some of you might be able to straighten out your leg, but if I do that personally, I lose contact and the strength within the contact of my hand and my back. So I'm going to keep them bent and really just focus on squeezing this together. Exhaling on the way down. So we'll inhale, exhale as you send them down, going through 10, and then we switch 10, and then we're going to do 1 more set of that. So back to the first one, 2 sets total. So, I mean, pretty much right away, you should start to feel everything in your core. If you're making that pressure, if you're pushing your back down, you're not having that feeling. We'll just do those 2 things harder. This one is completely foolproof if you are pushing as you're moving. So make sure that's happening. Again, if you're finding that it's getting like too much, make sure that you are bending that leg rather than straightening out. So we're going to do that again, 2 sets total. So 10, 10, and then 10 and 10. Alternating though. Don't do 20 all. So, core activation. You guys have heard me say that term before. That is happening. I sneak it into our warm-ups, mostly on our lower body days, because that is when we really require our core muscles to support everything in our torso, through our lower back, through these squats and lunges and stuff, which is why it's really important that you are feeling it in the right place. So we'll do that on both sides. You guys can, once you're done, stand up to the tap shake it out, grab yourself a little bit of water if you would like. We're going to get you started on these exercises. So the first one we're going to do, first two rather, one of them is going to require that chair that we are going to be stepping up onto. So if you do not have something to step up on, doesn't have to be like a cheap IKEA chair like this. If you guys have a stool, a step, even if you have like a set of stairs in your house, you can use any of those things to elevate the floor, because that's essentially what we're doing. Now, for some reason you don't have something like this, what you're going to do is follow along doing the same thing, just off of the floor like this. And again, if you do even have like a stool or something, that will work as well to give you a bit of that elevation. So what I'm going to do is take off this here cushion pad. I'm just going to actually take off one side and just kind of put it down, so I have a harder surface, so I don't have to worry about that stability or that imbalance. If you have something that's soft and you're stepping up onto it, that's okay, but just keep in mind it's going to be a little wobbly. We are working through 12 consecutive reps per side. So I'm going to do this side 12 times, and then I'll switch and do the other side 12 times. So I have 1 foot on here. I'm going to have my hands on the wall just for the sake of safety, because, you know, guys, this chair and all that. Pushing up onto my toe first, and then I'll pull myself up with my leg and go a little bit out of the screen there, but that's okay. So onto the toe, and then I pull myself up, and we're going through 12 reps total. Now, the step up for me is, I can make this quite hard. I'm coming up onto my toe. I'm not using my back leg at all. So for me, 12 is going to be really challenging as long as I'm in control and really feeling those muscles pulling myself up. You could add weight. You absolutely could, especially if you are on like a safer surface than this. You could hold dumbbells down by your sides, up at your chest, really whatever you want to make this more challenging, okay? Those of you who are on the floor working with like a lunge rather than a step up, because that's all we got, please add dumbbells or a band to this to make this harder, okay? So dumbbells will be down here, band will be looped around our foot, because the lunge is one that we have been working on, and I know 12 reps is not going to be the most challenging if we do a body weight as opposed to the step up. So yes. All right. So we'll do 12 and 12. And then we are going to pair this with something. So we're doing all one leg, all the other leg, trying not to touch too much down between each rep, of course at the bottom. Once you guys are done, we are going to pair this with a front-loaded squat. Now, I'm putting on my band around the top of my knees here so that I have more resistance. I want to make this harder for myself. We're doing 12 reps total. We're going to add a 2-second pause at the bottom of each rep. But I mean, with these 8-pound weights here, even with these, it's not going to be the hardest. So I'm adding this band to just make this a bit more challenging for myself. So I'm in a squat stance. I have the weights loaded in front of me. We're going to sit ourselves down into a squat and hold for 1, 2, and then stand up to the top, and we're doing 12 reps total. 1, 2, and an honest 2 seconds, not a 1, 2, 1, 2. If it helps you, you can also just take a deep inhale, exhale, inhale, and then exhale up to the top. So inhale, and then push out of it. And that way you get an honest time down there without having to count, because sometimes I know it can be really easy to accidentally make the 2 seconds a little bit too short. So we'll go through these. And if you don't have weights, you probably have a band, and you're going to add it just where I have it here, and go through your set of these 12 reps with a 2-second pause. All right. So once you guys are done, this is going to be us through 3 more rounds. When we're done this, we can take a little bit of rest because we got quite similar stuff going on here. The step up and the squat with similar muscles. We're working both your glutes, and again, the quads in the front here are focused on both of these. So 30 seconds, quick sip of water, but it really depends on how hard you're making these sets. If you finish that set of squats, and if you feel like you probably could keep going, you're getting antsy to start your next set, then just start your next set. But if you finish those squats and you literally need a moment to let your legs rest because they are jello, that's great that you're making that set that hard, and you're probably going to need a little bit more rest than someone who is not feeling that way. So hopefully that makes sense. So whenever you guys are ready, we'll go into our next set here. Again, tippy toe first, and then we'll step up, and that is gonna help us avoid that momentum of pushing ourselves up with that bottom foot, which I know, I know you wanna do it, I know your body wants to do it, it just happens. So that's why I was very specific on that little toe lift, because it totally just helps us make this as hard as possible, as involved as possible, with no momentum. So we'll get these in 12 and 12, followed by 12 of those front-loaded squats. Awesome. Good job, you guys. Okay. So we'll get these in here. 12 and 12. So again, if you guys do have the band, you add it on here. And so what this band is doing, so that you make sure that you're using it properly, it wants your knees pulled in, which you probably feel right away, especially if you're using like a medium or stronger strength band. So we have to use more in our glutes and our hips to keep our knees apart. Because if we didn't, our knees would be pulled in like this. So we need to make sure this is not happening, because if it is, then you're kind of defeating the whole purpose of the band. You want to push the knees out. You think about spreading the floor with your feet, with your knees, and that's going to help you involve everything in the sides of your hips and overall just get more out of this and not cause like slow residual knee pain. Because as we go down like this and have this caving in situation happen, it's really hard on our knees, especially because we're going up and down. So don't let that happen. Push them out. Spread out the knees. You'll feel more better in all situations. So you guys have 2 more rounds after this. So same rules apply with the rest, which on the second set here, as you guys approach the third, you might feel a little bit more tired, like you might want to actually take a little bit of time. That's completely okay, but try your very best to keep it under a minute so that we can get through these next 2 sets within the time that we have. So we don't run out of time, and you don't need more than a minute rest. You guys just take it and then get started again. Okay, so again, reminder for those of you who are working on the floor, we've talked a lot about skater squats. These ones where we are lowering ourselves down and standing ourselves up without the use of this back foot. So definitely something that you can think about if you have not been thinking about already. I know I didn't mention it on our first set, but I did mention the resistance. So by now, hopefully you are using either your band or your dumbbells down in your hands or around your foot like this. And you can just sort of think about the skater squat. So again, just not using that back foot to push ourselves off. And it is definitely something that tends to happen as we start to get tired. So now, on your next set, your legs are a little bit more work than the first 2. So make sure that's not happening, and you're controlling it as much as you can. Set number 3. So for both of these, you can try to, again, not make contact at the top here. So we are getting a little bit of that stability work and toe, and then you can step yourself up and either drive the knee or just bring it forward so that you are not touching down too much. Unless you need to, because you feel like you're going to fall off the dang thing, then that's okay. So I'm close to the wall. All right, so we'll get through the third set here. Yay, stepping up. One more to go after this one. Yes. So 12 and 12. And we'll get you guys going on in your front squats with the pause at the bottom. Hopefully you didn't forget about it. So once you guys are done those step ups, we'll go right into this one. No rest except the time it takes you to get that band on. And we sit down and we hold for 1, 2. We want to keep our chest up, but push our hips back behind us so that our knees don't drive forward too much, but the hips go back and we hold down there for 2 seconds. So we should really feel the sides of the hips, back of the hips, especially if you are using a band, if you have that added on there. Woo, for 12. All right, third set. Oh yes, and you guys have lots of time. We have about 4 minutes until we should be starting the next part. So we will get through this one, do our thing, take a little second there to just think about how you feel, grab a quick sip of water, shake out your legs, and then we are going to get going on the final set of these two. Yay! And then we'll move on to the next two. Boom! Okay, so squats. Final set, you guys. Step ups. All right. So we'll take some of those nice deep breaths. Getting started on our final set. Yay! 12 and 12. Okay. So again, hips back. We want to keep our shin as upright as possible. And that's going to go for the step up, for the lunge, whatever version you're doing. You want to push the hips back rather than push the knee forward. So make sure that's happening on this final set here. And we'll go through the 12 and trying to make them as single leg focused as possible. So we want to think about the one leg, the front one. That's the working one. That is the one that should be feeling on that one side. Of course, you got to do both sides, but you know what I'm saying. Let's do it. 12. There you go. Single leg. You got it going on. Okay, nice job, you guys. Let's do it. 12 and 12, final set. Same thing on the second side. Maybe this is your harder side. Maybe you remember it all the times I told you to start with your harder side. This is your easier side. Get it done regardless. So once we're finished, we'll go right into our final set of the front-loaded squats. 12 of them with our pause. Yay. Now, this is your guys' last set, and we have about 2 minutes until we should be moving on, which is lots of time for you to do 12 squats. So especially if you're feeling like maybe your first 3 sets we did were, I mean, you probably could have done more if that's anything that you were feeling towards the end. But on this last set, you can try to maybe make your pauses a little bit longer. We'll see how you feel. So we'll start off, if you want, just normal. 1, 2. If you want to make this a bit more challenging, you can hold for 1, 2, 3. And I know that doesn't seem like a big difference, but that 1 extra second at the bottom there is going to make this set feel like you've added like 3 to 5 more reps by the end. Okay, and if you're still feeling like you could make this harder, those last 5 reps that you're doing, you can hold it even longer there. You can hold it upward of 5 seconds. So we really finish off strong here, going through those 12 reps, and you should feel like you really want to stop by the end of your set. Whew. All right, good job, you guys. So let's get these in here. Take your time with them because you guys have time. So much of it, well, 1 minute, I suppose. And then we're going to move on to the next part. Woo! Front-loaded squats. All right. So as we come to an end on there, you guys can grab yourself some H2O. Shake it out. Hopefully you're feeling good, warm, ready to start the next part. We're going to move on to 2 new exercises. Well, they are not new. We've been here before, but they're going to be our next superset. Okay. So it is that time, you guys, for the split squats. So we're going to set ourselves up here with something to elevate our back foot to do a rear foot elevated split squat. So we got the back foot up, the front foot down. We're going to be sitting down, doing 5 normal reps, followed by 5 pulses, followed by 5 pulsing reps. Okay, so let's break that down a little bit. We're going to start off with body weight. On the next set, the next 3 sets after that, so we're doing 4 total. If you guys find this first set is kind of easy, add resistance, okay? But I suggest you start off with just body weight because this is not, I don't think this is very easy at all. But we're going to find out together right now, so we're going to do the set together right now. So back foot elevated. If you don't have something to elevate your back foot, if you don't have a stool or a stair to put your foot down like this, or a chair or something higher, like knee height for your foot down like this, you just work with your foot on the floor like this. Okay, so we got that back foot up there. We're going to sit down, normal reps, 5 of them. So 1, let's go. 90 degrees at both of the knees. I'm pushing my hips back, and we're doing 5 reps total. At the top, we should be standing upright, leg, body, all of it. Next one, we're going to sit down and do 5 pulses. So 1, 2, coming halfway up, 3, 4, 5. Now I come all the way up, and I'm going to go down, do a pulse, and come up, and do that 5 times. So down, pulse, and then we come up. That's 1. Pulse. That's 2. Okay. That's 3. We got 2 more. 4. Last one. All right. Woo! Other side. All right, you guys. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side here. So you can just put your foot beside the other one, move it back up. You don't have to worry about what position because you already found it at the beginning. Same thing, normal reps. Let's do it. So I just have my hands in front of me here. Help myself with balance a little bit. Doing 5 total. And once we're done 5, we're going to sit down and pulse 5 times. So I'm pulsing up halfway. If I wanted to make this harder, I can pulse up higher than that, like up here, rather than just down here. And that goes for that part and the last part. When we rep and pulse, yes, let's go. So we're doing 5. Okay, you guys got a couple more. And I was a little bit distracted. Last one. You got it? Woo. All right, burning legs. So that is part 1 to this little superset that we're doing. Part 2 is going to be our hip thrust. So I'm going to have my upper back elevated on this bench here. Today I'm going to add some resistance to my hips. You guys can either add the weights to your hips if you want to add the bands to your knees. Again, it's going to do the same effect that we had on the squats, where we have to push the knees out, use a little bit more muscles to our hips. Let's do this thing. So we're going to get ourselves into position. We're working through 15 reps. Now again, I have my weights. So I want to bring them over beforehand here. And I'm actually going to start, show you guys a little safer technique to get into this. I'm going to start with the weight on my hips up here, or the band if I'm using that. And then I'm just lowering myself down into position, and we'll go through our first set here where we're working through 15 reps. So normal reps today, no pausing, no pulsing, anything like that. But we really want to feel our back side. Some of us are going to have an easier time doing that than others. So if you need to feel it more, that's where we can kind of just hold it here and think about it a little bit. But you don't have to do it every rep specifically, just to really get it going on there. And then as you go through, you might find you don't have to hold it as much anymore because you feel the hips on every rep. So regardless if you're using weights, no weights, same rules apply. We want to feel the backside. 15. So yeah, and it's 15 reps. So it's like you're probably going to feel it because it's 15 reps. Okay. You guys. So we're going to take a little memento right now. We'll get about 30 seconds of rest. We're not jumping right into our next set here because we know the split squats, I wasn't lying, it's pretty hard. Now, if any of you out there found that it was not the hardest and you feel like you probably could handle adding some weight, some resistance to it, then that is 100% on you. Feel free to add that in here. I'm going to kick it body weight, but if you want, I will show you guys how to add the weight. Dumbbells, of course, they're just going to be down by our sides here, holding the weights down like this. You also could hold one and front load it if you're too heavy, like this, or like this. It really depends on what's comfortable for you, and I don't want to specifically tell you guys because it's really just suggested body weight. Bands, on the other hand, are going to loop around the foot, and you can try them if you would like to add them on like this. So when you guys are ready, which hopefully has already started, we're going to go through our second set of these ones. Again, 5 full reps. So we go down and up 5 times. And then we're going to pulse 5 at the bottom, coming halfway up. And then we rep and pulse for 5. Burning, 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 burning. You know that's what we do in here. We burn the legs in the best way possible. It's totally the burn that you can like work through and breathe through. Maybe not by the last rep, I know. All right. So this one's really, split squats, they're definitely one of my favorites, but doing this little combo here really puts you in control of how hard you make this. I talked about the difference in the pulse. That is such an easy thing that you can control. You just pulse a little bigger, pulse a little bit smaller. And I want you guys to try that. So if you are, again, feeling like you probably could do more than 5, I don't want that, okay? I want you to be done by the end of that set. So if that's you, if that's what you're feeling right now, you have 2 more sets to go through where we do not want to feel like that, okay? We only want to get the 5 of each of those, no more. So we'll go right into our second round of the hip thrust. So bands around the knees. Now, most of us are going to be completely fine doing this with our upper back on a chair, on a bench or something. Of course, if you don't have a chair or bench, your back is on the floor, and you're going to work this with back on the floor like bridge style for either the floor or up here. A couple of things that you can make sure that you're in the right position. When you're starting, we want 90 degrees at our knees. And you can just do like a little shoulder check and make sure that you're not like this here, because now I'm going to do this and I'm going to feel hamstrings. I'm not going to feel my butt. That's not the goal on this one. If my feet are too close, so now I'm beyond 90 degrees, I'm first of all going to cause some serious knee pain, and also I'm going to feel the top of my thighs, which I also don't want. So 90 degrees, and we want to do a little bit of a crunch so that we're moving through our hips, not through our lower back. So if you're on the floor, we're going to push your lower back into the floor before you start that set. And you can go through the same thing, 15 reps total, same rules with the pause. If you want to hold there and just think about it and go through your set. Woo! I don't want to leave my floor peeps hanging because I know some of us don't have a chair or a bench or anything like that, and that's what's up. Okay. Nice job, you guys. So we're gonna take a second here, drink some water. Now's a great time to get it in. Going through 2 more sets of this stuff. Those split squats again. Yes. So whatever you did on the second set there, we're gonna try our very best to do 2 more times. So we're gonna try, if you added weights, whatever pulse size you did, whatever you had going on there, and we'll repeat 2 more sets. Yay! All right. So when you guys are ready, which is hopefully soon, we'll go into our 3rd set. So unless you have some reason why you can't, 90 degrees is the goal. So 90 degrees of this front leg here. Reasons why we couldn't, maybe you have sensitive knees, you have something pre-existing going on in there, which in case if you're starting to feel pressure here, just don't sit so low. And it's going to make it so that you don't feel that. Also make sure that we are pushing our hips back and going through. The other thing with this one is to make sure we're keeping all of the weight on the front leg, which is again, just as like the step up, I kind of was a hard ass about it there too. It's just going to make it a single leg exercise, and so we don't end up using too much of that back leg. And you'll feel it. If you are feeling lots in your back leg, you're probably putting weight back there. So check yourself. All right, so 5 pulses, 5 reps with a pulse, both sides. Ooh. And yes, these sets are going to get harder as we go This is number 3 though. We only have to do it one more time. I know you guys can handle this. And we'll try to keep it as even as possible on both sides, on both legs. So remember that when you get to your second side and you want to just eat her and then be done, finish it up strong. All right. Good job, guys. So we'll head into our third set of our hip thrusts, our hip bridge, whichever one you are doing. Get them in here for 15 reps. There we go. So make sure the knees are in place. Make sure that you're doing that bit of a crunch here so that we get the pelvic tilt. You get a nice strong squeeze on your hips. 15 times. Woo! And then you guys have your last round. Woo! We are almost there. In this one. Good job, you guys. All right, so let's keep working through this. Breathing through this. Finishing up our third set here. And same thing, we'll take just a little bit of rest. You guys have time with it, so do not rush. We have about 2 minutes until you should be starting. So actually, you just have enough time to do this set with a little bit of rest. So take about 30 seconds, you guys, and then when you are feeling ready, which definitely should be in less than a minute, we will start our final round of these two, the split squats and the hip thrusts, and then we will be done with them for today, for this workout. Split squats for the week, but we do have some hip thrusts on Friday, but you guys probably already knew that. That's okay. All right, so let's get this in 5, 5, and 5. Last set. And the 5 full reps, nice and controlled, trying to get all the way down into that 90-degree position. 5 pulses. Maybe you're making the pulses a little bit bigger on this last set. Seeing if you can handle it. And then 5 rep pulses. Oh, yes. All right. So we'll start that last set if you have not already. Woo! So we can get it in. There it is. Good job, you guys. I know this is a burner. But always remember that this crazy stuff that we do in the split squats and hip thrusts and all the exercises, whenever I make you pulse and come up and down and pause and all that stuff, it makes the normal split squat and normal exercise easier, which is why we do it, which is why we make it feel so hard. So when we go back to the normal reps, we do them, they feel easier, they feel more manageable. Because we've exposed our body to this. So remember that. Channel that right now. Just push yourself through this. You've got it. Let's do our final set of our hip thrusts following these split squats. And then we are moving on to the next part of the leg strength. And then we have some core. You guys already knew that because it's Monday. And then we are done. Start our day, get on with our day, and feel amazing. We got to get through this first. All right. So final set of the hip thrusts. We got 15 reps of them. You guys are going to go through. Standing up if you like. Adding the weights on your hips. Whatever you are doing for a strong finish here. So we'll go through. And pausing at the top if you want to really go out with a bang, strong feeling, work in the hips. You can pause those reps at the top, especially for the last 5. Ooh. And then take that thing off because you are done that one. Let's get it done first. 15 of them. All right, you guys, nice work. Good job. Woohoo. Woohoo. All All right, my friends, good job. So we are gonna move on here. We have about 1 minute until we really should be starting the next part. So hopefully you are very close to being done. Once you are done, you can just grab some water. Ooh, take some deep breaths. Walk it off of that one. We are going to move on to the last part, which is 2 exercises. Woohoo! Okay, so what we're going to do for this first one is a single leg hip thrust, but we're going to be doing it a little differently than normal. Normally I have our upper back up on that chair, foot on the floor, and we single leg hip thrust our way through our set, just like we did with the double one. What we're going to do today is turn around. I'm going to put my back on the floor and my foot up on this chair. Now, what this does, it makes our single leg hip thrust really, really challenging because we're increasing the range that we have to move through in that position. So for those of you who struggle with the single leg hip thrust with our back on this chair, this is going to be really hard for you. Now, that's not to say I don't want you to try, but just keep in mind that if this does feel too challenging, or maybe you don't feel it in the right place, maybe you feel it in your lower back, anything like that, come back to the normal one we do with our back up on the chair or with our foot on the floor, which we'll talk about, okay? So what we're going to do is lay ourselves down body weight with our feet close to our chair like this, and then our shoulders on the floor. I'm going to start with one foot, so this leg's going to go up in the air. This one's going to be on the edge of the chair, and again, I have my chair pushed up against the wall because if I didn't, it would probably slide. And if I didn't have something, again, that I was comfortable doing this with, I would just put my foot on the floor like this, okay? So into position, we're going to push our hips all the way up to the top, come all the way down onto the floor, and then go through our reps, 10 of them total. So when I come down, I'm touching my lower back, not the back of my hips, and then I drive up to the top. Now I'm actually a little bit too far away. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm just a little bit beyond 90 degrees. So I'm going to scooch a little bit closer so that I feel more in my butt and less in my hamstring. Because if I'm too far, I'll feel the back of my leg and not my hips. So let's go through our set. We're doing 10 reps per side. Now I don't have to use something this high. I could use a stair, a stool, like a little step up, whatever you have in your house. Or you can simply just do this one off of the floor, which I need more room for. And then we'll go through like so. And for today, again, we have the leg lifted up in the air, whereas last day we talked about kind of sending it out. So today we want it lifted up so we don't have to worry about like the core or anything. We're just focused on our hips. Whew. Okay, I was not kidding when I said there was lots of up and down because we are getting up when we are done that one and pairing it with a deadlift to double calf raise. But today we're doing that deadlift sumo style. So recently we've been doing the conventional style deadlift, which is the deadlift with our feet narrow like this, like so, toes, yay. Today we're going into the sumo stance. So this is one that we typically will do on a Friday. But today is the day that we have it here on Monday. We're going to set up our feet wide, toes pointed out slightly. I am going to grab my weights. Back here. If you don't have weights, you can just hold a band in your hands down in front of you sideways like this. And we're going to sumo deadlift, so hips back, knees out, and then I come up onto the toes. And so the calf raise in this sumo deadlift position is a lot more challenging because of the positioning of our feet. So you'll feel like that doesn't happen as easy, that up onto the toes, as it will when we're in here like this. So that's completely normal. That being said, if you're too wide, it will almost feel impossible to push up onto your toes. And if that's the case, you can narrow up a little bit. Get hips back, knees out. We're going through 10 of these total, which I know I always should start with. I kind of get excited about the exercise. So 10 reps of these ones. And then we're going to pair these two back to back with no rest in between for 3 more rounds. So let's do our thing right here. And if you don't have the weights, we're holding a band down here, same stance, and then up onto the toes. And we'll just hold this band here for that resistance for our upper body. So hips back. Yes. All right. Okay, so this is you guys, again, no rest, just the time that it takes us to get back down on the floor, to set up our foot, to get ourselves ready for the next set. Plus or minus a couple deep calming breaths in between these. So the back of the legs, your glutes, definitely the focus on these two. So we'll go right into our next set. Going through 10 reps per set. And coming all the way down, but trying to touch the lower back, not the butt. That's important so that we're not accidentally arching our back like this and having this rib flared situation going on. We want to crunch in so we have a nice strong core. So the stronger the core, the stronger everything in your torso, the more protected your lower back is, which is always something that I think about. But you guys already knew that. All right. So yeah, as you guys can hear, my chair is quite rickety. It's completely fine. I actually feel quite safe on it with it up against the wall like that. But at any point, if I felt unsafe or if I felt like I was gonna, break the chair or something, I would just move away and do this one off of the floor like this, or maybe go grab like a stool or something from the bathroom and just put it underneath my foot to just lift up a little bit so I get a bit of elevation. Woo! 10 and 10. Okay. Whew. Goes up and down. All right, so we're going into our second set of our sumo. So again, first we shoulder blades together and then hips back. As soon as your hands are right above your knees, we bend the knees and push them out to the sides and then up onto the toes. So we want to come up onto the toes at the same time as we stand, but on the way down, we go hips back, bend knees. All the way up. Hips back, bend knees. There we go. So I know this one takes a little bit of a coordination, a little bit of thinking. The brain, the body, the calf raises. 10 reps total. We have 2 more sets of this, and then it is time to work our core. Yay. All right, let's get it in, guys. Second set, the sumos. There it is. Good job, you guys. So 10 and 10. Followed by those single leg hip thrusts. Woo-hoo. So most of us, if you are doing some form of elevation, it's your foot or your upper back, this is going to be hard, okay, with 10 reps. But if you're working just off of the floor, you need to make this a little bit harder. We're going to think about the same thing we did on those normal or those double leg hip thrusts with bridges that we did. Pausing, okay, so lift it up and do not leave the top of that rep until you start to feel some action going on in the muscles in the back of your hip. And then once you start to feel that, then you can come down. And as you go through your reps, it will get more progressive and you won't have to hold it as long at the top. But especially if you're not doing any kind of elevation, that's something that you probably should definitely think about so that you get the most out of this that you can. Because we don't like to waste our time, especially not when it comes to working out. We want to get the most out of each of these sessions. And that's how we got to do it, is by making it as hard as possible. For those reps. All right, you guys. So, sumos. And then we have our final set. Yes. And then the leg strength is done. We have a nice, short and sweet core session. I feel like, was it last week I got cut off? I don't know. That was horrible. But it will not happen again. We are cleared for good internet. Okay, so let's do our thing here. Don't want to rush you guys, but we have 2 minutes until we should be starting our last part because it takes us about 8 minutes to get through. And yeah, so we're good. But we will get going on our final set. If you guys have not started it already, let's get it going here. And I'm going to make sure that my timer is set. And it was not. All right. Good job, you guys. So let's do our thing here. Going through Last set. Let's do it up. All right, this is it, you guys. Final round of the sumo deadlift 2 calf raises. Let's do it up. Finishing up strong. All right, last set. 10 of them. Woo! Take your time with it. Once you guys are done, you can grab yourself some water and clear the way because we are hanging out on the floor for the last, technically 8 minutes, but I have a feeling that it might take us about 9 or 10, which is okay. All right, so as you guys are finishing up on that one, we are going to get ourselves down onto the floor and ready to work our core. So we have a very simple core circuit that we're going to do, or superset, I should say, because it's just 2 exercises that we're going to pair together. We're working off of this timer here, and it is set for 30 seconds on and 10 seconds off. So you guys are going through 6 sets total of these 2 exercises, and we're going back to back, 30 seconds, 10 seconds rest, other one 30 seconds, 10 seconds, and then we repeat 6 times, okay? So I know that sounds like a lot, but we're actually gonna get through it quite quickly here. So are you guys ready? Starting off the first one, we're going to do a plank hold. Yay! So this plank hold today, for most of us, a 30-second plank hold. Not the hardest thing in the world. So what we're gonna work with is that long lever plank hold position. We're gonna be on our forearms, parallel forearms, holding this plank. You guys ready? Starting in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. No beep, but it started. Let's go. So if you are good at plank, if you like plank, if you know you can hold it for at least a minute, maybe longer, we're going to walk our feet back and hold it back here. Squeeze your butt and breathe in this position. You got 15 seconds left. Let's see if I can. There we go. Good job, you guys. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, so we're gonna flip over onto our back for the next one, which starts again. We only have that 10 seconds. Legs up, arms up, lower back into the floor. We're gonna reach to the toes and then lower the arms and legs down. Reach to the toes, arms and legs down. So we only go as low as we can without losing our lower back. If we start to, we just won't go so low with the legs, or you can try bent legs instead. So we're exhaling, inhaling, and time. Okay, so not too bad. All right, we only got to do it 5 more times. Ready, set, here we go. Now we're holding. So again, most of us might want to be back here. But at any point, if it starts to get like you're not going to make it, walk back forward over top of your forearms. 15 seconds left, you guys. This one, it seems so simple. It is so simple, but it really does catch up to you. Okay, so just breathe. 3, 2, 1, and flip over. Good job, you guys. Again, we're on our back. And just relax your legs, lift them up, whatever you want to do. Take a deep breath in. Arms up, legs up. Preferably straight, but if you need to keep them bent, that's okay. Inhale, and then exhale, bring it together. So we're working through these ones, trying to have our shoulder blades leave the floor between each of our reps. 10 seconds left. Woo. Good job, you guys. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, that's 2 down. Woo! I don't want to tell you how many more to go. Okay, we're just going to get through this. All right, so plank position, and here we go. Strong plank hold. Again, straight legs pushing up onto our toes. squeezing our butt, and more than anything else, important, breathing. I want you guys breathing, not holding your breath, because holding your breath does not help. Okay, it might make it feel kind of easy, but it does not. It's just gonna make you dizzy, lightheaded by the end of it. 3, 2, 1, rest, flipperoo. Good job, you guys. On our back. We got you guys moving between our sets today. All right, lower back, then arms and legs, and then exhale, crunch off the floor. So trying our best, if we can, to keep the legs straight, eventually getting them all the way down to the floor. But if I do that, I lose my back, so I would probably keep them bent and just really work on getting the shoulders off the floor. 10 seconds left. Boop, boop, boop. 3, 2, 1. All right, halfway, you guys. Yes, we have this. Flip over, plank position. Get yourself ready, set. Here we go. Let's do it right away. Holding that plank as strong as you can. Whatever you do, just hold the plank. Even if it's, half plank, that's okay, but just try your best to keep your core active, for 15 more seconds. I think you can. I know you can. You just have to breathe. Nice work, you guys. 3, 2, 1. On your back. Yay! This one is, I don't know which one's harder actually. The planks are always hard, but this one is very burny. So this one, we definitely have a lot of work throughout your abs, your actual ab muscles, your core in the front here, but you'll also feel your legs as well as your hip flexors in the front of the legs as well, especially if you are one who is keeping your legs straight. Those guys down there work a lot. And so 10 seconds left, you guys. We want to be feeling our core though. So if you are feeling too much hip, too much leg, keep the legs bent and it will help. 3, 2, 1. 2 more sets. We are so close, my friends. We are almost there. We gotta do this 2 more times. And then you are done, free to go. Plank, let's go. Second last time you're here, you can do this, okay? Just breathe, just hold whatever form of plank you can, some kind of plank right now with us. Don't give up on us. 10 seconds left. There you go. Squeeze your butt, straighten out your legs. 3, 2, 1, rest. And flipperoo. Nice job, guys. All right. We have this crunch situation going on, this jackknife. Here we go. Technical terms, doesn't matter. You guys are doing your thing here for 20 more seconds. So we'll breathe and trying our best every rep to get our shoulder blades leaving the floor, which means your neck leaves the floor. You might feel a little bit of work happening in the front of your neck and your neck muscles. Completely normal. There's muscles in there. 10 more seconds though. Just breathe through it. 3, 2, 1, and rest. All right, you guys, we are here for the final set. This is it. Last set. Are you ready? Here we go. Plank position, 30-second hold, and then you are done with the plank. We have plank, we have crunches, and then we are done for the day. Until tomorrow. 15 seconds. Come on, breathe. Don't give up. Try to make it a little harder. Walk your feet back. Activate your glutes, activate your quads, top of the legs. Hold it. 3, 2, 1. Press. And flip over because you are not done yet. We have this last 30-second round of this one starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's go, you guys. 30 seconds of this. Again, we're trying to squish the back down. That's the most important. Breathing as you go through this. Exhaling as you come together. We're so close. Finishing just as strong as you started. Now a little bit stronger. 10 seconds left. Come on now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You guys are done. Woo! Nice work. Timer is off. We are so very done. So you guys feel good. I'm going to leave you with a couple stretches to do. First one is for your hip flexors. Because of all the stuff that we just did, the core work, the ab work, even the leg work, all involves stuff in the front of the hips. In addition to real life, lots of us, we sit, we walk, we drive, all those things tend to lead us to having tight hips, which causes all sorts of problems. So we're going to get ourselves in here and stretch out. I'm going to double up my mat though for monkey cap. Last week I showed you guys the standing version of this one. So if you want to do that one instead, which takes a bit of pressure off the knee, you can do that. But we want to hold this for at least 1 minute per side. And it's going to help us open up the hips, prevent any kind of tightness through the hip flexors, as well as tightness in the lower back. So it's important, is what I'm trying to say. So 60 seconds. If you are going to do any of these stretches, this is definitely the one I would recommend you do. That has been a minute on that first side. So we'll switch and hold the other side here for a minute. As I typically do, we are going to hold just one set together. But if you guys want to do more than one set, your body is going to thank you for it if you have time. So you can come back and complete maybe 1 or 2 more sets after this. I'm holding this for a minute per side of this one or of the next one, which is for the back of the legs, back of the hips, your butt. So we have about 10 more seconds holding here. And then I'm always a little ADD when it comes to stretching, so it's good that if we do it together. If you feel that way, you're also not alone. Last one, you guys, is for the back of your hips. So we can go through this one here. We're holding in this leg. We did a nice deep floor or wall focused one where I had the foot up against the wall here, or we can have foot against the floor. So you can hold either of these positions for a minute. We're feeling that stretch, that tension through the back of the hips, and we are stretching it out, breathing into this. So I'm going to leave you guys with this one. Again, if you want to do any other stretches, bow and arrow, really good one. If you want to take a little bit of time to loosen up your lower back, your chest, the hips, you can spend some time doing this. But overall, you guys, front and back of the hips, lower back, and you should feel good after that. You are done with me, though. Thank you guys so much. I see you popping up for the wave. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Dave, for joining me live this morning. If you're watching the replay, please drop a comment so I know you were here. Hopefully you guys have a great day and you feel amazing. Get lots of stuff done, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.